What could possibly have made zombies scared? It turns out that he, as a zombie, has become a human president. He even openly established a city of zombies. The president of Steel Club, who was feeling upset, immediately reported to the higher-ups. Upon hearing this news, Inspector Clara immediately decided to go to City H to investigate. Fortunately, this news was known by the president of Stick Club. He admires Zombie, his opponent. He immediately revealed this news to Zoe. On the other side at the same time. At this moment, totally unaware, Zombie was leisurely shopping. At this moment, his phone suddenly rang with a ding-dong sound. It turned out that Zoe learned the news and immediately called him. She told Zombie, due to the betrayal of the president of Steel Club, Inspector Clara is now on her way to City H. If she finds out that what the president of Steel Club said is true, then you as the president won't be able to continue. Hearing this, Zombie instantly broke out in a cold sweat, then tried to act tough by saying, "I'm actually a human being." But the next second, Zoe angrily scolded, "Don't think I don't know who you city folks are. What are those things all about?" And with that, she hung up the phone with a loud click. Zombie was completely panicking this time. He said, "It's over. Are we going back to the ruins again?" No. I must not disappoint the zombie citizens. Just when Zombie was worrying about what to do next, the makeup store next to him suddenly caught his attention. At the same time, in the underground prison, Jamin Bo too was pondering about something. At that moment, the meal delivery staff pushed the food trolley in. At this moment, green-haired guy cried out in fear. He said, "I didn't expect that we were going to die." However, Dr. Jamin said that he wanted Zombie's genes. "I must obtain your genes," he said. He asked Jamin, "What are you talking about? Aren't we about to be executed soon?" He said, "Don't worry. They won't do anything to us until they get hold of my research data. And I had already given the data to someone else before I was caught. It's hidden in a place where no one knows." At this point, green-haired guy said, "Zombie, that guy is too powerful. Even if we get his genes, we still can't defeat him." Upon hearing this, Dr. Jamin smirked wickedly and said, "We need a powerful body to serve as the vessel. Then I can naturally research an even more powerful being." He said, "Jamin, we are currently trapped here. It's hard enough to even give a video a like, let alone conduct research." Dr. Jamin, who heard these words, suddenly fell silent at this moment. Soon after, the staff brought the food delivery robot over to this location. Unexpectedly, Dr. Jamin not only did not resist, but he also cooperated especially well. He ate the food brought by the robot. Green-haired guy who saw the scene was very confused. How did Jamin suddenly become so obedient? So, this delivery worker is actually a spy he planted. And the purpose of this time is to install a bug in his mouth. Later, when that delivery person walked out of the prison, Jamin immediately asked where the body of the new zombie king is now imprisoned. At this time, someone replied that it is imprisoned in the mountain laboratory on the 200th floor. Moreover, there are also 2 presidents guarding inside that laboratory. Very well. From now on, you can proceed with the plan I made before. Do you know how outlandish a zombie's makeup can be? When Bieber, with empty eyes, puts on colored contact lenses, instantly transforming into a young and handsome young man full of vitality. After the weathered zombie mom gets dressed up, she unexpectedly becomes an enchanting and beautiful young woman with charm still intact. And the reason why they would do this? It's all because Inspector Clara is about to visit City H for an inspection, in order to prevent everyone from being discovered as zombies. So Zombie came up with this makeup method. Only seen inside the City H government building. Countless Carthage troops descended from the sky. It turns out all of these are from Zombie. Cosmetics bought from the neighboring city. When Zombie told Bieber about the seriousness of the situation this time, Bieber immediately asked D-Dog to notify the responsible people in each district to come and collect the makeup props quickly. Very soon, the sidekicks from each district took the truck back one after another. In order to prevent the zombie citizens from returning to the ruins of the city, they had to give it their all this time. At this moment inside the city hall, D-Dog asked in confusion, "Would wearing makeup really be effective?" Bieber said he was not sure either. However, since it was arranged by Zombie, there must be a purpose behind it. Just like that, zombies in each area have started to move. At this time, a mother with her son came to collect makeup products. For her, who loved beauty when she was alive, makeup is too simple. The son looks at his mom strangely. His actions show curiosity, and he says he also wants it. But when his mom turned around, he was almost scared silly. He simply couldn't recognize that it was his mom. Quickly, all the zombie citizens completed this makeup task. Later, when Harry and Larry returned to the office to report back, suddenly, Bieber and D-Dog, who had just finished doing their makeup, were taken aback. He said, "You guys are too fast. And D-Dog, are you sure this look will work for you?" Later he said, "I don't even have a face. How should we do this makeup?" There is no other way. Bieber can only temporarily disguise them as pets. But strangely, they waited at the airport for half a day and still didn't find any trace of Inspector Clara. It turns out Inspector Clara had anticipated that her whereabouts might be leaked ahead of time. So she secretly took a train with her subordinates to City H. At this moment, a subordinate whispered, "Why doesn't Inspector Clara like Zombie?" My partner said that Inspector Clara dislikes Zombie because she looks down on weak and cowardly people like him. Also, apart from the Prime Minister, Inspector Clara doesn't like anyone. Upon hearing this, Inspector Clara immediately turned around and said, "No need to talk behind my back sneakily. So what if I like the Prime Minister? Ever since he delegated power, anyone can become president now. In my heart, only figures like the Prime Minister can lead us humans towards a more prosperous future." But what she doesn't know is that the very person she admires, the Prime Minister, is none other than the one she currently despises the most, Zombie. Trouble, trouble. Zombie is about to activate the Berserk mode. Just a handsome entrance. Inspector Clara was scared stiff and collapsed on the ground. Not long ago, Inspector Clara tried to drive Zombie off the stage. They secretly took a train and arrived at City H. Unaware, Bieber was still waiting anxiously at the airport. He said, "Strange. Wasn't Inspector Clara supposed to come for inspection today? Why hasn't she arrived yet at this hour?" On the other side, Inspector Clara's two subordinates have begun an investigation of the citizens on the streets. They first arrived at a convenience store, only to find that all the products being sold inside were egg-based foods. When he asked the boss to give the video a like, the boss shook his head nervously. The investigators were very confused at this moment. Will he not support the Manhwa station's well-made video? They then found another person, a passerby citizen, ready to be interviewed. But at that moment, the person's arm suddenly fell to the ground with a thud. The investigators who witnessed this scene were all dumbfounded. Could this guy be trying to scam money? But before they could think further, the man picked up the arm from the ground and quickly ran away. Before leaving, he explained that the arm was just his prosthetic limb. This action left everyone speechless. They wondered if there was no normal person in City H at all. Inspector Clara beside is also angrily said, "Is this zombie building a city for crazy people?" Then she loudly told her subordinates, "Record everything for me. These will be the materials to remove President Zombie." The scene switched back to the city government office. Zombie was squatting there, muttering something incomprehensible. D-Dog, who saw this scene, quickly approached and asked what was going on. How did Zombie end up like this? The soldier hurriedly said that he was not sure either. President Zombie seemed to have been acting like this after having breakfast. He kept talking nonsense and shaking uncontrollably. D-Dog was shocked to hear this. He immediately grabbed him and said, "Tell me quickly, what did you give to Zombie to eat?" The Mud Trooper was quite frightened by D-Dog's actions. Then he quickly explained that he had only made a dish of spicy scrambled eggs for President Zombie. As soon as he said that, D-Dog couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. So it turns out that Zombie can't eat spicy food, just because spicy food makes him unusually excited, and this state will last for a month. On the other hand, Bieber is still waiting anxiously at the airport. Suddenly, he received a phone call from D-Dog. He was also horrified when he learned that Zombie had accidentally eaten chili peppers. At this time, George beside him said, "Zombie wouldn't have slaughtered the members of the inspector team, would he?" Upon hearing this, Bieber's eyebrows furrowed. He thought to himself, "If something like that really happened, we probably won't be able to stay in this city any longer." The scene shifts back to Inspector Clara's side. At this moment, they are still searching for evidence everywhere. However, just at this moment, a heavy truck suddenly fell from the sky. With a loud bang, the truck smashed straight down in front of them. Just when they hadn't had time to react yet, Zombie suddenly descended from the sky again. With a loud bang, the truck was crushed into scrap metal. Inspector Clara and the others were all dumbfounded at the scene. What just happened? At this moment, Zombie suddenly said with a playful expression, "Inspector Clara, right? Let me take you all on a tour next." When a zombie becomes handsome, there is nothing that cannot be solved. Just now, when Zombie finished eating chili fried eggs, he instantly transformed into second phase form in a violent manner. And he also insisted on personally taking Inspector Clara to visit. Both assistants in the field were dumbfounded at this point. What just happened? The three people who had regained their senses looked at Zombie. The confused expression on his face was evident. Inspector Clara trembled and said falteringly, "Who are you?" Upon hearing this, Zombie gave a wicked smile and said, "Oh, so you've already forgotten about me so quickly. I am the zombie you are looking for." The few people who heard this were speechless on the spot. Clearly, the zombie in the information doesn't look like this. At this moment, Zombie jumped down and said that he just took off his mask. Then he snapped his fingers and said Inspector Clara has come from afar. "I have prepared some gifts for this meeting. Please accept them." As soon as he finished speaking, the zombie citizens immediately offered their specialty fried eggs. "Don't worry. We are all law-abiding good citizens. We never eat people." He finished speaking. Zombie lifted Inspector Clara up in one hand. He said, "Since all the gifts have been received, I will take Inspector Clara to have a good look around." With a loud bang, Zombie had already jumped up in place and flew into the air. In just an instant, they arrived in the sky at an altitude of 10,000 meters. The two assistants who saw this scene were very confused. After they regained their composure, they acted quickly, hailed a taxi, and chased after them. At this point, Zombie, who had flown in the air for 2.5 laps, grew tired of playing. Shortly after, it landed with a bang on the tallest building in the city center. He said, "Take a look. This is City H, carefully built by me, where tens of millions of people live. They all love this city very much. Not only do we have listed companies here, but we have also solved the employment problems of many people. Just in terms of tax revenue, we are able to pay several hundred billion yuan each year. Next, I will take you to see the public security issues," Zombie said as he dragged Inspector Clara to the middle of the road. And at that moment, a truck that was already in motion was unable to hit the brakes in time. It looked like it was about to hit Zombie. With a loud bang, Zombie managed to kick the bumper of the truck with just one foot. The next second, the truck pierced straight into the high-rise building. On the other side, Bieber, who was waiting at the airport, also noticed the commotion over here. Immediately, he swiftly made a dive and rushed up to save the driver. However, the two assistants who had just arrived at this moment were speechless. Is everyone in this city crazy? As for Inspector Clara herself, she was shocked by Zombie's series of actions, dropping her jaw to the ground. At this moment, Zombie reassured, "Don't worry. That driver won't die. The sidekicks under my command each possess unique skills. We will absolutely not let any citizen die in vain." He finished speaking. He then threw Inspector Clara forward. The two assistants hurriedly rushed up to support her. At this point, Zombie turned around and continued, "I know why you, Inspector Clara, are here. This time, I will safely let you go back, regardless of what happens next. I just want to tell you one thing. I have mastered this city. No one can stop me." Zombie returns to the third phase form. The Inspector trio, who saw this scene, were instantly shocked silly. Not long ago, Zombie warned Inspector Clara and the other two. The atmosphere changed instantly. They were so scared that they couldn't speak. The whole street became eerily quiet in an instant. At this moment, one of the assistants whispered, "Shouldn't we just go back?" Yeah. Let's withdraw. This guy looks like trouble." For a moment there, I almost thought he was the Prime Minister. And who the hell said Zombie is cowardly and weak? I'll definitely take care of him when I get back. Just then, Zombie walked back and reminded them to hurry back, before I change my mind. But as soon as Zombie finished speaking, Inspector Clara called out to him again. "I acknowledge your ability to manage the city, but that doesn't mean you are qualified to be president. Because as president, in addition to management ability, you also need to have sufficient combat power. And now I only see your city management ability, but I don't see that you have the power to protect the city. This is the third time you said that." At the mention of Bieber, their faces immediately turned pale. Just as Inspector Clara was about to continue, they rushed up and covered her mouth hurriedly. But their efforts were ultimately in vain. Zombie turned around and said, "So you want to see my true strength?" Upon hearing this, Bieber and the others were shocked on the spot. "I didn't expect it. This woman is really trouble." Before long, they arrived at a nearby sea area. At this time, D-Dog whispered, "Why do I have a bad feeling about this?" At this moment, Zombie was looking at the ocean in silence. At this moment, Inspector Clara curiously asked, "Why did you bring us here?" But before she finished speaking, she saw the terrifying shadow of Zombie reflected on the sea surface. And D-Dog beside also stepped forward to remind, "If something happens later, you will be responsible for the consequences." Inspector Clara, who heard this, looked confused. Just then, the assistant next to them suddenly noticed that the surrounding stones were floating. Immediately after that, more and more sand and rocks began to rise around Zombie. The next second, Zombie's third phase form completely revealed itself in front of everyone. The trio of inspectors who saw this scene were completely shocked. They yelled, "What is this unknown _4? And why does this back view look a bit like the Prime Minister? Do you know how strong Zombie's third phase form is? He's just a casual bounce." He instantly arrived on the planet Saturn, 1.3 billion kilometers away. Not long ago, Inspector Clara questioned Zombie's ability to protect the citizens. So Zombie took them to the seaside. Then he activated his third phase form. In an instant, the originally turbulent waves were instantly frozen. Even the surrounding sand and stones began to float upwards against gravity. The few people who saw this scene were immediately surprised. But before they could think further, Zombie suddenly leaped in place. The terrifying force directly. Inspector Clara was knocked to the ground. When they finally regained their senses, Zombie was nowhere to be seen. Just at that moment, D-Dog pulled out a telescope that was placed right in front of him. Inspector Clara curiously stepped forward to take a look. Instantly, she was so scared that her face turned pale. Only because, on Saturn, which is 1.3 billion kilometers away from Earth, it turned out that Zombie was looking up at her at this moment. This unknown_4 is really outrageous. Is your president even human? Just as everyone was surprised, Zombie on Saturn began to gather power once again, only to see him clenching his right fist, looking resolutely towards the earth. The next second, Zombie threw a fierce punch into the air. D-Dog and the others who witnessed this scene immediately had their faces changed drastically. Just because of Zombie's punch, it directly pierced a hole through the ocean. In an instant, a tsunami of thousands of meters rushed towards the city. And at the seaside, D-Dog quickly stood in front of everyone. At this time, Lily at the headquarters also felt the disturbance. When they saw the tsunami outside the city, they instantly showed an incredulous expression on their faces. They immediately hurried to activate the Level 1 protection plan. However, even so, they were still unable to stop the surging tsunami. At this time, there was a sudden loud bang from the seaside. That's right. Zombie jumped back from Saturn again. He said, "What do you think? Have you seen my strength now? Am I qualified to protect my citizens or not?" I didn't expect the new Zombie King to come back to life again. Not long ago, Zombie punched through a certain island country, then jumped back from Saturn again. And at this moment, Inspector Clara was completely scared silly. Then, inexplicably, they were sent into a taxi by Bieber. It took them a while to recover from the shock. Zombie is simply inhuman. They watched the taxi slowly drive away. At this moment, D-Dog suddenly said, "They wouldn't take the city back, would they?" Bieber thought for a moment, and then awkwardly said, "I don't think they will." Sure enough, Inspector Clara has been in a state of mental disorder since returning. As for the city of H managed by Zombie, it has naturally been preserved. While on the other side, inside Whole Prison, only a few people were seen in the laboratory, discussing a corpse for a long time. And their discussion subject was none other than the new Zombie King, who was scared to death by Zombie. But what they didn't notice was that a researcher next to them was secretly concocting something. Turns out, this researcher is Jameen, the mole the doctor implanted inside the prison. He is now following Dr. Jameen's orders to prepare the antidote. Dr. Jameen knows that the body of the new Zombie King is still here. So now all we need to do is inject this potion into its body. Then it will definitely awaken. Then when the guard is ready to go out on patrol, the traitor suddenly thrust the needle in their hand towards the new Zombie King. The guard who saw this scene was instantly enraged. Then with a bang, he pressed the traitor against the wall. He asked, "What did you do to the corpse just now?" But he didn't finish his sentence. At this moment, the eyes of the new Zombie King suddenly opened wide. Immediately after that, there was a loud and violent explosion. This sound immediately caught the attention of the president of Stick Club. "What's the situation? What just happened?" At this time, the alarm sound throughout the entire prison also started to sound. It's true. It is the original new Zombie King, who had already been scared to death, but has now revived again. At this moment, Jameen suddenly shouted at it, "Kill all the guards here and rescue me. I will make you stronger than Zombie." Bring your popcorn and beer. The queen of the vampire clan actually came to rob the prison. Not long ago, on a civilian plane in the sky. Suddenly, someone kicked off the door of the airplane. Immediately after, someone inside the plane pulled out a gun and loudly said, "Nobody move. As long as you behave and listen obediently, I won't harm anyone." Like this, the plane flew towards Whole Prison under the instructions of the hijackers. Just at that moment, the queen of the vampire clan suddenly appeared at the cabin door. He said, "Respected Your Majesty, they have installed a self-destruct program on Dr. Jameen. Should we come up with a detailed plan?" The queen, without even turning her head, said, "No need. These petty human tricks are nothing to me. They can't outsmart me." After saying that, she leaped from a height of 10,000 meters with her subordinates. But just as they were about to reach the cave entrance, the new zombie king in the prison also happened to wake up. And the guards were also shocked in the face of this situation. Fortunately, the Steel Stick president reacted promptly and quickly organized everyone to defend themselves. But these ordinary weapons are completely ineffective against the vampire clan. At this time, one of the guards shouted loudly, "Everyone, don't panic. We still have 30 presidents inside. They won't be able to break in." As expected, the commotion on the top floor grew louder and louder. At this time, the president of Steel Club on the 500th floor immediately reacted with the chief president. However, if they, as newbies, have to deal with the vampire clan queen, it might be a bit challenging. At this moment, on the 3000th underground level, a guard was seen being blasted into the wall. It turns out that the new zombie king, who had awakened, was preparing to leave here. But at this moment, Dr. Jamin used a communicator to tell him, "Save me, and I can help you defeat zombie." Upon hearing these words, the new zombie king had a disdainful expression and said, "I want to defeat both you and zombie." At this moment, Dr. Jamin chuckled and said, "You are created by me. I can let you live if I want you to live. But if I want you to die, you won't be able to live." New Zombie King is now completely panicked. After all, it was indeed Jamin's spell that revived him just now. At this moment, Jamin assured, "Don't worry. I won't let you die. As long as you help me fulfill my dream, I will end my life in front of you." He chuckled and said, "Ha ha, when you humans go crazy, you are scarier than us zombies. Tell me, what do you need me to do?" He said, "Very simple. Save me and let me out. I promise to make you as powerful as a zombie." Do you know how strong the queen of the vampire clan is? Just a glance is enough. 3 chief presidents were instantly knocked down to the ground. Not long ago, the vampire clan queen sought the help of Jamin Bodo. She even went so far as to bring her subordinates to Whole Prison in preparation for a prison break. The next moment, the entire underground prison began to rumble loudly. I happened to be in the Whole Prison at that moment. The 3 chief presidents hurriedly ran up. When they saw the intruder was actually a woman, they were momentarily stunned. He said, "What's going on? What is this woman doing? Why can't I sense any energy fluctuations from her?" At this moment, the vampire clan queen stepped forward and spoke to them. "I give you 2 choices. Either hand over Dr. Jamin, and I will let you go unharmed. Otherwise I will." However, she had not finished speaking yet. At this moment, the president of Stick Club couldn't contain himself and rushed forward. Shortly after, the chief president followed. The president of Steel Club took the opportunity to launch a sneak attack from the side. But after a loud bang, the president of Stick Club was left with only one arm. And lying on the ground, the chief president looked completely confused. He said, "What just happened?" Just then, the guards finally arrived. However, faced with human firearms, the queen of the vampire clan showed no intention of dodging. Soon after, the sound of machine gun fire rang out. But those bullets were totally ineffective against the vampire clan queen. Even when the bullets hit her eyeballs, there was no response at all. At this moment, the subordinate next to them suddenly raised a hand towards the guard. After a loud bang, all the guards were instantly engulfed in flames. Meanwhile, 3,000 floors underground, Dr. Jamin has already been rescued at this moment. At this moment, green-haired guy curiously says, "Wasn't it said that it would explode upon contact? How come we are fine?" He said, "Uh-huh. There is a 2-second window after the power is cut off. They actually thought they could trap me with such defective products. It's really laughable." They then walked out of the prison under the escort of the new zombie king. He asked, saying, "Jamin, he is already so strong. Do we still need to continue to make him stronger? I am afraid there will be problems later." He said there is no way. There is no better vessel in the world than him. But just as they were about to evacuate, the new zombie king suddenly froze. Just because. At this moment, the guards outside had actually been wiped out at some point. Green-haired guy, who saw this scene, also had an unbelievable expression on his face. He asked, "Who did this in the end?" Just at this moment, Vampire Clan Queen suddenly descended from the sky. She said, "Respected Dr. Jamin, hello." This kind of trash, who can't even defeat zombie second phase form, doesn't deserve to be your vessel. The new zombie king who heard this was stunned for a moment. He was just about to step forward to educate her. At this moment, the Vampire Clan Queen continued, saying that instead of wasting time on that useless person, it would be better to study her body. I didn't expect that the new zombie king was scared to death again. Not long ago, new zombie king just rescued Jamin Bo too. Then a Vampire Clan Queen suddenly appeared on the scene. And the other side was also shouting that the new zombie king was just rubbish. This made the new zombie king furious. He immediately said, "Are you saying that you are stronger than me? You're just trash, and you dare to compete with me? You don't even have the qualifications. If you don't believe me, you can come over and try." As soon as the words from the Vampire Clan Queen fell, the new zombie king rushed towards her at a very fast speed. But the next second, before the new zombie king could make a move, he was punched in the face by the Vampire Clan Queen. The onlookers who witnessed this scene all showed expressions of disbelief. They are familiar with the strength of the new zombie king. However, they did not expect that in front of this woman, they wouldn't even have the chance to fight back. Later, there was a loud bang, and the new zombie king was instantly sent flying several hundred meters. When the new zombie king regained his senses, he cursed, "Damn it! The strength is the same as the previous zombie." At that moment, he suddenly noticed the explosive device next to him. Immediately, he rushed towards it in a flash. He said, "Since you are all so arrogant, then just go die for me." Then new zombie king slammed a punch towards the nuclear explosion device. But at the moment when the nuclear explosion device was about to explode. At this moment, the Vampire Clan Queen suddenly raised her hand and waved it towards it. The nuclear bomb that was originally supposed to destroy everything miraculously returned to its original state. The spectators who witnessed this scene were completely speechless. What is happening with this unknown_4? Is time reversing? At that moment, the Vampire Clan Queen suddenly released her hand gently. The nuclear explosion device instantly crashed towards the ground. With a thud, the new zombie king was immediately pressed into a meat patty. At this moment, the few people who were watching the battle are beyond shocked. This woman is too powerful. At this moment, the Vampire Clan Queen spoke again. "With just this level of strength, you dare to challenge zombie. Is it the courage given to you by Donald Trump?" Finished speaking. The Vampire Clan Queen raised her hand again casually. The next second, the new zombie king was caught in her hand with a click. She asked, "How did zombie treat you before?" Upon hearing this, the new zombie king was stunned for a moment. But then it showed a look of fear. Just because. It actually experienced the same terrifying aura as zombie before. Then he shouted in fear, You and zombie are both products of the previous civilization." Having said that, it was scared to death with its eyes wide open. At this moment, the Vampire Clan Queen regained her original expression. Then she proceeded to toss the new zombie king, who was as lifeless as a dead pig, in her hand. With a thud, she threw it on the ground. Poor new zombie king was terrified to death once again.